Let's start first off with the latest issue with the 737 and the wing slats, if you will, these parts within these the wings that you're going to have to inspect. Is this due to your own internal investigation in terms of what happened here? And it brings up the question, are we going to hear more of this in the future, not just with the MAX, but 737 overall?
Well, I think, first of all, we start everything here with safety and quality. And this was something we discovered as a supplier quality issue. And as soon as we discovered that, we brought it to the surface, and we're dealing with that expeditiously. We've been coordinating with the FAA over the weekend. This is a process that's well defined and well understood in our engineering discipline. And we're all over it with our customers, and we're out in the field with our airline customers as well to coordinate this.
You've got the 737 MAX already grounded, so those wing slats they can inspect and repair when needed there. But with the NG, those models are flying right now, and this sort of is that headline risk that's out there. Somebody will hear this, they'll hear 737, and they'll say, here we go again, something else is wrong. And are you worried that it makes people uneasy about flying the 737?
Well, certainly it's something that we regret the impact that it's had to our customers. And anytime there's news on the 737, it's something that goes to the top of our list. We're paying close attention to it. This particular issue around the slat tracks is a well understood one, and one that we'll work our way through quickly. But it is something that we're going to stay very coordinated with our customers. We know it's important, and we want to minimize the disruption to our customers.
Let's shift to the 737 MAX. You're in the process of preparing for a certification flight, and then filing your application for recertification. This is something that we've been told or conditioned by various people that, hey, it's ready, it's ready, it's ready. You've already finished the software. Is there a delay in filing for this application for recertification?
We are following a very disciplined process here. Everything, again, starts with safety and quality. We know that lives depend on the work that we're doing, so safety is of paramount importance here. We're working through this in a very disciplined fashion with the FAA. We have completed the software development work. We're now in the process of answering questions that the FAA has. That includes some sessions in our simulators this week. We hope to schedule the certification flight very soon, and then after that, a decision from the FAA to return to flight.
Is the FAA pushing back? Are they saying to you, nope, you're not ready yet?
Well, the FAA is working very closely with us, but also being very disciplined and very deep in their analysis. And I think that's a great thing. I think it's good for all of us to be very disciplined in this approach, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure safety. And I'm very confident that when this process is completed and the MAX is back up in the air, that it'll be one of the safest airplanes ever to fly.
All of this brings up the question about whether or not Boeing and the FAA, because of the certification process, you work too closely together. And at the end of the day, this is the problem. And that you have people who are saying, wait a second, how do you know that the information you're getting from Boeing is correct and is accurate? And it has people saying, wait a second, are these planes going to be safe when they're recertified if they already had these problems in the past?
Yeah. Well, we're very confident in the overall process. You know, over the last 20 years, aviation has been the safest form of transportation around the world, and the accident rate has been reduced by 95% because of the processes that the FAA has put in place. So the idea that we work closely together to tap deep technical expertise while ensuring the independent review process, I think the process is very effective. That said, we're learning as we go through this current situation. Both the FAA and my own board committee at Boeing are taking a look at our certification processes, and if there are any improvements we can make, we will make those.
But you've seen these stories. I mean, it's been a steady drumbeat of stories that have come out where time and again it appears that you were making changes in a plane too fast without enough people being notified. In many cases, your own flight test engineers or your flight test pilots were saying, wait a second, I didn't know about the MCAS situation. When you hear those stories, you have to understand that the public looks at this and says, wait a second, how do we know this isn't going to happen again?
Yeah. Well, we certainly regret the impact this has had, and without question, we're sorry for the lives that were lost in these two accidents. We know that it's impacted the trust and confidence of the flying public. We take that very, very seriously. I can tell you we've taken a deep look at the MAX development. It was a 6-year development program with more than 1,600 flight tests. We followed our certification processes, but we always know that we can get better. And that's what we're committed to. This is all about safety. And the track record of safety in aviation is as strong as it is because we never stop improving. And so we're learning from these current situations, but I want you to know that we're investing everything we can in the safety of these airplanes. We know that today 5 million passengers will fly on Boeing airplanes today. and their lives depend on it. We take that
But that
very,
hasn't changed,
very
Dennis. No,
seriously.
with all due respect, that's been that way for years. And we've known that Boeing has a culture of saying, we want to make sure that we're right. But how do you know this won't happen again, given the fact that it did happen?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things we're doing. In this particular case, with the improvements that we're making to the MAX software, we've taken a deep look at how we can build additional redundancies into that so-called MCAS software. We've done more than 280 flight tests with that new software. The certification process around this is being done in depth in a very disciplined way, as I mentioned earlier. We're also working with our customers to make sure we understand the impact to them and working closely with them on return to service planning so that that can be done in a safe and efficient way. And we're taking a look at our certification processes holistically so we can continue to improve for the future.
Dennis, I know Kelly has a question or two for you. Kelly, go ahead.
Phil, thanks. And Dennis, thank you as well. One of the things the public and even your investors are saying they're not hearing from you is contrition. Are you admitting to any wrongdoing or fault?
Well, first of all, we are very, very sorry for both of these accidents. And as I've expressed and will continue to express our deepest sympathies to the loved ones and the families of those that were lost, that will never go away. And that will weigh on us heavily forever. What that has done is it's really reinvigorated our continuing emphasis on safety and quality and integrity. And I can assure you that we're learning, we're going to be improving. We know that there are things we can do better. The MCAS software improvements are a clear area where we're improving. We know we can make some improvements on training and education. We're making those investments. We also know that our communication in some cases was not as effective or not as complete as it should have been. And there are areas where we can improve transparency, and that's part of how we'll increase confidence of the flying public and the customers out there.
And does
so we know we have work to do.
Sure. Does improving those systems mean that you did something wrong?
Well, I think one example that I've mentioned before is on the angle of attack disagree alert that was in the news recently. We made a mistake on the implementation of that. We are fixing that as we go forward. So we are in an approach to how we do our business where we're always seeking to learn. We're always looking to improve. And we have fallen short in the past, and I've admitted that and acknowledged it. And that only makes us more resolute in our commitment to safety going forward.
And you're very clear about this now, but for months, investors and the public have wanted this clarity. Were you hamstrung from speaking out by regulators? Did you personally want to be able to give people more information? Were you not allowed to give that information?
Well, Kelly, I think part of the challenge we've had is the investigation process around aviation accidents is controlled by something called ICAO Annex 13. And it's important to us that we protect the integrity of that investigation process, so we've been doing that. At the same time, we've been trying to share as much information as we could throughout the process. And that has at times been a balancing act. But frankly, we owe information to all of our stakeholders in this process. And we're doing everything we can to be transparent, provide that information. Again, I know we could do better, and we are focused on doing that going forward.
Are you the right person for this job?
Yes, I think I am, and certainly I'm committed to our objectives as a company around safety and integrity and quality. I think it's important that I continue to lead this company in a way that's consistent with our values. I've been at Boeing now for 34 years. I started at the company as an intern. I have a great pride in our company. It's frankly a privilege to do the kind of work that we do around the world. We know that people's lives depend on what we do, whether it's commercial airplane customers and passengers or servicemen and women around the world who use our defense products. We are committed to excellence in the work we do, and I'm proud and honored to work at this company, and I look forward to continuing to lead consistent with our values.
Dennis, playing off of what Kelly was asking you about whether or not you're the right person to continue leading this company, one of the criticisms that's out there, which I think is a valid one, is that there's not an independent third party that has said, that you've hired, and you've said you have free reign. You interview any engineer you want to interview, you interview any test pilot. We want to find out exactly what's happened here. Why not bring in an independent third party and say, find what you need to find, and we will hold those accountable who did wrong here?
Yeah, in fact, we are doing that, and in collaboration with our customer as well. So, as you know, the U.S. government has initiated some independent reviews. We're supporting that review process. I've also asked my board to independently set up a committee to review our processes.
Will you release those results, including names of people who have done wrong?
We will release those results, and I also want you to know that that committee is bringing in external experts. So that is not only an internal view. They'll be bringing in external experts to support the effort. And whatever we learn from those committees, we are committed to implementing those improvements, and we will make those improvements well known.
The president thinks you should rebrand the MAX, and we understand for certification's sake, you just can't rebrand a company, the plane, and name it something else. But you know that the MAX name right now is toxic with travelers. They don't want to fly it. They're worried about the safety of it. Why not say, we're not going to call it the MAX anymore. We're going to come up with something else at a minimum to change the perception that's going to be out there when it comes back into service?
Yeah, Phil, I think the most important thing here is we remain committed to safety and getting the airplane back up and flying safely. I frankly don't think this is a PR process or an advertising process. This is about safe travel. And we're investing in making the MAX as safe as possible. I think the improvements we're making on software, the improvements on training and education, the improvements that we're making around how we communicate, that's what's going to matter. And as we get the airplane back up and flying safely, that will rebuild customer confidence. And we're going to be working very closely with our airline customers. They understand the flying public very well, and we know that we're going to have tailored work with them to help rebuild that confidence over time. This will take time. We know we've damaged trust, and we have to earn and re-earn that trust of the flying public. We are committed to doing that.
When are you telling airlines that they should probably expect to see this plane? August?
Yeah. We're working actively on that day to day. So, as I said, this week we're in the simulator with the FAA and EASA. We hope to schedule the certification flight shortly after that. That will be followed by approvals from the regulators to get the airplane back up and flying. I can't give you a specific timeline on that, but that is all work that we're doing daily, hourly. We also have our teams deployed with our customers, helping them on return to service preparation. So these are all near-term activities, and while I can't give you a specific timeline, I can tell you it's a very active day-to-day engagement, and we're going to be spending a lot of time with our customers to make sure they're confident in the airplane as it comes back up.
Are you ever out and hear people talk about the MAX in terms of that at airport, travelers? What do you know what they're saying?
Yeah, I've heard those comments, and again,
What's your reaction when you hear people say, "I'm not getting on it"?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we deeply regret the impact. We're sorry for the lives that were lost. This will always be with us as a company. I can tell you that it weighs heavily on us every day. And when I hear these comments from the traveling public, and as you might guess, I spend a lot of time in airports, and I've heard these comments, and they're tough. They wear on us deeply as a company. These are customers that we care about. We know their lives depend on what we do. So our work here will never be done. But I can tell you we are only more resolute in our commitment to safety and quality and integrity as a result.
Last question. You're at 42 a month in terms of 737 MAX production. When do you get back up to 52, and can you get to 57 as previously expected by the end of the year?
Yeah, the long-term plans have not changed. Now, this will all be paced by the most important thing is getting the airplane back up and flying safely, and then we'll be helping our customers take the grounded fleet and returning that to service safely. In the interim, while we're running at 42 a month, we're investing in our supply chain health so that our supply chain is ready to go when we are. Stepping back up to 47 and 52 a month is something we plan to do, but only when we're ready and in a very disciplined fashion. Long term.
Do you get back to 52 by the end of the year?
I won't put a timeline on it because it will be paced by return to service. The most important thing we're going to do here is focus on safety. And when we're ready to ramp back up production-wise, we will. The long-term market still says the world needs 43,000 new airplanes over the next 20 years, and the MAX is a big part of that.
Real quick, have you had a single order for the MAX yet since the grounding?
No.
Okay. Dennis Muilenburg, Chairman and CEO of the Boeing Corporation, joining us here today. Kelly, back to you.
And before I let you guys totally go, Dennis, my last question on this is, do you think that 737 MAX is going to be back up in the skies before the end of the year at this point?
I do, but again, I can't give you the specific timeline on it. We're working very closely with the regulators. As I said, these are day-to-day activities. We're working with the right pace, but all of this will be gauged by the investment we're making in safety. The most important thing here is safety, and we'll be back up and flying when we're ready, and we'll do that jointly with our customers and with the regulators.
All right, Dennis Muilenburg, thank you. Phil LeBeau, thank you very much as well.